Alright, hello everyone, how are you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. And today we're here with another comparison video, so I'm going to have to make this one a little quicker since I don't know how long my roommate's going to be gone. So let's go ahead and get on into it. So today we are here with the Abyssal Whip versus the Tentacle Whip. And basically I had this request in a previous video. I also had the request with a Saradomin Sword versus Saradomin's Tear, or whatever that is called. So if you guys want to see that, go ahead and leave a like down below and tell me what else you guys would like to see in a comment. With that said, though, basically the comparison here obviously is the Abyssal Tentacle versus the Abyssal Whip. Now, I went ahead and compared this on a couple Slayer tasks of Greater Demons being a task in which they have no defense to attack. They have no defense to pretty much anything. It's just 0 across the board, except magic's -10, but irrelevant. Basically, the reason that's useful is because there is a little bit of a difference here, and you guys will see this later, but there's a difference between the slashes of each weapon. You have plus 90 here and plus 82 here, so the slash attack bonus is more helpful if the defense is higher of the monster. That's why this is more preferred for bosses and stuff like that, and the fact that bosses can give you more money. But besides that, basically, I went ahead and compared this on Slayer. So now I know that at the end of this video you guys are going to be like, these costs seem outrageous, why would anyone ever use these for bossing? There would have to be a ton of testing for bossing, but the extra attack bonus could make it worth it, and the fact that you get faster kills on something that can provide you money is something that you have to take into account. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and show my stats real quick. I tested this on a main account, 99 attack, 99 strength, 99 across all combat things, so nothing to see there, but yeah, let's go ahead and get on into the first comparison picture. So basically what we have here is your average sort of comparison. So we have the Abyssal Whip, obviously, requirement being 70 attack compared to the Tentacle Whip requirement being 75 attack, so there is a little bit of a difference there, but realistically if you're going to use either one of these, I'd imagine you probably have high enough attack, since you're probably going to be using this in a PVM type scenario. So basically if we go through the stats, as you guys saw earlier, with the Abyssal Whip you have 82 slash bonus, 82 melee strength. Now with the Tentacle Whip you have 90 slash and 86 melee strength, so that's a little bit of a difference. You obviously have a little bit higher as far as your melee strength in comparison to each, and double that whenever you go up to the slash bonuses. Now, the speed interval for both of these, they both attack at the same speed. Obviously, they're both whips, so there's no real change there, but I went ahead and put it down there just so you guys knew. On top of that, cost, now there is something you have to take into account here. Whenever I put cost, that doesn't necessarily mean the actual cost of using it. With the Abyssal Whip, the cost to get it is 1.8 mil, however, you can typically sell it back for that same price, and thus it doesn't cost you anything to use, but that's the initial input that you need. Now with the Tentacle Whip, you're going to have to initially put in 2 mil, and you're only going to get 200k back out of it once you're done with the 10,000 charges, that being in the form of the Tentacle will come away from the Whip, but the Whip will disappear. So at that rate, you're losing 1.8 mil over 10,000 hits, or 180 GP per hit. So now we'll go ahead and move on into the next one, and this is the XP rates that I was able to get. Now, the reason that this isn't that staggering, I would imagine, is because the Greater Demons don't have that much of defense to slash, but also they're relatively close. I don't even know if this would be worth it on bosses, to be honest with you. But as you guys can see, I know that there's a strength icon under the combat thing. That's just to signify combat, not strength XP, since, I mean, just don't get that twisted. Basically, with the Abyssal Whip, I was getting 101k strength XP per hour, 33.6k HP, and 25k Slayer. Compare that to the 102.5k combat XP that I was getting with the Tentacle, 34k that I was getting with the, or 34k HP that I was getting with the Tentacle, and 26k Slayer. So, if you know how combat works, basically the Slayer kind of jumps here a little bit, and that is due to the poison that you get from the Tentacle Whip. Now, I mean, this is kind of a little different. I mean, it's still really close. Like 1k Slayer XP isn't that much more, but it isn't balanced with what you're getting with HP and strength. It's a little bit higher due to the poison. But other than that, that's about it for this. I mean, not that much of a difference, but we'll go ahead and compare it in the next screen overall on a larger scale. So basically, I have the actual XP rates of each weapon up top, respectively to where it was before. So Abyssal Tentacle on the right and Abyssal Whip on the left. So with that said, let's go ahead and get on into it. And before we get into it, I'm going to go ahead and address something. People said in a video before that I cannot do the stats on 6.8 hours or 10 hours if I didn't actually do that myself, because they wouldn't be the same, because it's RNG dependent. You don't know how statistics works. I've said this in a video before. After 1.4k uses, I'm going to have a pretty good clue on what the XP rates per hour is. It's not like it's going to go down to 30k the next hour. It's relatively close, and I'm going to go ahead and compare it. So, basically, the cost of a tentacle is 1.8 mil. With that, you are able to get 1464 attacks per hour, which means in total, from the 10,000, you're going to be able to use this tentacle whip for 6.8 hours almost, or a little over. And basically, that will give you another 10.3k combat XP, 2.7k HP XP, and 6.8k Slayer. Now, if we go ahead and put that in terms of basically what we would need to do to make it worth it, it's just you would have to run through. I mean, for an example with Slayer, you'd have to run through about 4 whips before it's worth it. And as far as combat goes, you'd have to run through about 10. As you guys can see in these comparisons that we now have down below. So the Slayer comparison, basically if you can make more than 6.6 mil per hour, it is worth it to you to go ahead and do it. But there's a little bit of an asterisk here that I have to add myself. The reason that the Slayer one is higher is because the Tentacle provides more DPS in the form of poison that I said earlier. Now maybe if you want to be max efficiency, you could just stab it with a poison weapon like an Abbey Dagger, then go back to whatever you're doing, and that would make up for the DPS, and you wouldn't have to use a Tentacle Whip for the 10 to 30 hits that you're actually hitting the monster for and wasting that money. Now, as far as combat goes, obviously there's a big difference, and this would never be worth it for anyone. I don't think Slayer even is, but I mean, at least that one, some people I'm sure could hit. The combat one, though, 17 mil per hour. If you can make more than 17 mil per hour, it's worth it for you to go ahead and use Tentacle during all your Slayer tasks. However, I'd imagine that's not the task. I'd imagine that's not the case. So with that said, that'll be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like. I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, it's something that I thought was going to be a little more comparable than it was. Like, you would figure that these two actually had a decent difference since you're losing a whip. However, not the case, and I was pretty disappointed in them. But yeah, so if you guys have any comparisons that you guys want me to look at here in the future, go ahead and put those in the comments down below. I'm always open to some more. I've taken a bunch from the comments already, and they are so helpful. I can't come up with ideas on my own, but I know I get a feel for what you guys want, and that is more important to me than what I want, since this is for you. Okay, so enough rambling. If you guys really enjoy the content, make sure to hit that sub button. I have a Twitter in the description down below. Go ahead and hit that up. Also, spoiler, kind of a spoiler. On the noob account, we got a pet today. That'll be out in New with the Mill tomorrow, so hopefully you guys are excited to see that. But I hope you guys have a